In May of 2024, one of the biggest names in live entertainment found itself at the center of a massive digital heist. The personal info of millions and millions of people was suddenly up for grabs. So today, we're going to break down exactly what happened in the Ticketmaster data breach.
So let's start with a number. A number so big it's kind of hard to wrap your head around. Hundreds of millions. To give you some perspective, that's potentially more people than the entire population of the United States. Let that sink in.
Yep, we're talking about the personal data of hundreds of millions of customers, all exposed. This makes it one of the absolute biggest breaches we've seen in a long time. The scale is it's incredible. So you have to ask, why Ticketmaster? Well, to really understand this heist, you first have to understand the vault they were trying to crack. Just think about it for a second. Every single time you buy a concert ticket, what do? You hand over your full name, your address, your phone number, your credit card info. For a hacker, Ticketmaster isn't just selling tickets, it's a goldmine of really valuable personal data, a prime target.
All right, let's get into the break-in itself. Now, this wasn't some action movie scene where they smashed through the front door. Nope, the way they got in was a whole lot sneakier than that.
And to get how they did it, we need to talk about something called a third-party provider. See, a lot of big companies, Ticketmaster included, hire other, more specialized companies to handle certain things for them, like, say, storing huge amounts of data in the cloud.
And that right there was the weak link. The attackers didn't have to get through Ticketmaster's main security at all. Instead, they found a vulnerability in one of these outsourced partners, a cloud database managed by a company called Snowflake. It was basically like finding an unlocked window around the side of the building.
And you know what's wild? The attack itself was shockingly simple. Step 1. The attackers got their hands on valid login credentials. These are the digital keys to the castle, and they probably got them through phishing or just bought them on the dark web. Step 2. They used those keys to waltz right into the cloud database. And the final, fatal mistake, there was no multi-factor authentication, or MFA, to stop. This quote really says it all, doesn't it? One single set of stolen keys was all it took. That simple second layer of security, like the little code you get sent to your phone to prove it's really you, it was missing. And that one little missing piece is what turned a close call into an absolute disaster.
So, the thieves are in, the alarms are off. What exactly did they manage to walk away with?
The haul was huge. We're talking full names, email addresses, phone numbers, home addresses, but it didn't even stop there. They grabbed ticket order histories, some payment-related data, and even the barcodes for events. This is basically a complete playbook of a customer's life and habits. And the reason why became pretty clear pretty fast. A hacker group that calls itself Shiny Hunters took credit and then allegedly put the entire database up for sale on the dark web. The whole point wasn't just to cause trouble, it was to make money off of your personal information.
Now, a breach this big creates ripples that spread everywhere, hitting regular people and the company itself. This is where we see the real cost of a heist like this. So let's make this personal for a second. With all that data about you floating around out there in the wild, what's the actual risk you're facing?
Well, the dangers are very, very real. First, identity theft. Criminals can use your info to impersonate you, open new credit cards, take out loans in your name. You also become a perfect target for super convincing phishing scams because they have your real info. And of course, there's the straightforward risk of financial fraud.
And it wasn't just customers feeling the heat. Ticketmaster found itself in some seriously hot water. Regulators, lawmakers, and the public all started asking some really tough questions, like, were you guys doing enough to protect the data we all trusted you with?
Every disaster, digital or otherwise, gives us a chance to learn something. So let's look at the blueprint this mess gives us for how to stop the next big digital heist.
This chart lays it out perfectly. First, the fact that stolen credentials without MFA worked tells us one thing loud and clear. You have to use multi-factor authentication, period. Second, the weak security of a third-party partner shows that you need to hold your suppliers to the same tough standards you hold yourself to. And finally, the fact that attackers could just grab data without needing ransomware proves that a devastating breach isn't always noisy. Sometimes it's just quiet theft. So, the big takeaway is this. It really all comes down to the basics. Strong, fundamental security practices, like making sure you know who is accessing your data and double-checking it's really them, that stuff isn't optional. It's the absolute bedrock of keeping data safe.
And all of this leaves us with one final, pretty unsettling question to think about. In a world where our lives are spread across this giant, complicated web of connected services,
each with its own potential weak spot, can we ever really say our data is 100% safe?